following the untimely death of John Butler in 2003. The Charger ownership turned to A.J. Smith to lead the team as general manager. Like his predecessor, Smith's legacy was made by a draft day trade in 2004 that brought a core group of young talent to San Diego. The centerpiece in the trade was quarterback Philip Rivers.
The 2004 NFL Draft was a media event like never before. The Chargers had the #1 overall pick. They were anticipating drafting and signing Mississippi quarterback Eli Manning when discussions with the Manning camp took an unexpected turn.
Well, initially, it was fine, great, and everything, and then just prior to the draft, we heard that there was a decision made by, I believe, Archie Manning that he didn't want Eli to come to San Diego. Obviously there was a question as to why, but nobody ever seemed to get an answer.
The speculation was the Mannings were trying to convince San Diego to trade Eli to the New York Giants. Philip Rivers from North Carolina State rocketed late up the draft charts. His stock was boosted by his appearance in the Senior Bowl, coached by the San Diego Chargers staff.
I was able to play for them for that week, practice for them. They got to see a little bit how I led in the huddle, how I prepared. So I knew San Diego was a team that had an interest. I didn't know how that would shake out because they had the #1 pick. The New York Giants I worked out for. To me, that was the least of the teams that were interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers. At 11, I felt like, honestly, that's where I was going. And it was exciting. It was crazy and exciting. I went to the Senior Bowl that year, and the San Diego Chargers were coaching the Senior Bowl. So I had a good week. I knew that they had some interest, but I didn't know what they were going to do with Eli.
San Diego Chargers select Eli Manning, quarterback, Mississippi.
They draft Eli 1, so I'm sitting there, and I know the next team that's interested in me is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Giants didn't seem real interested. Well, they take me at 4.
The New York Giants select Philip Rivers, quarterback, North Carolina State.
I'd never received a phone call from the New York Giants, so I'm traded to San Diego, and been there.
On the blitz, ball knocked loose, standing on the goal line, and recovered, it looked like maybe by Brandon of the Broncos. John Lynch knocked it out.
I think Drew Brees got hurt on that play going for that fumble.
It was a meaningless fumble in the second quarter of a meaningless game and a new chapter in pro football history. The New Orleans Saints, the San Diego Chargers, and NFL legacy will forever be linked to that random loose ball dribbling about the San Diego turf. You see, up until that point, Drew Brees had turned himself into a Pro Bowl quarterback for the Chargers, a guy who was ready to push a very talented San Diego roster to the next step, postseason success.
It is Brees looking, end zone, has McCardell, touchdown!
There was just one problem. His contract was up. Oh, and to further complicate matters was one Philip Rivers. In the spring of 2004, right before Brees morphed from middling young talent to one of the league's young guns, Chargers GM A.J. Smith hedged his bets by first drafting Eli Manning, then making a draft day deal for Rivers.
San Diego Chargers and the New York Giants have exchanged their draft picks, Eli Manning and Philip Rivers.
Thinking Brees might never develop, Smith wanted to capitalize on LaDainian Tomlinson's prolific prime and a nucleus that would soon be ready to rock. Only Brees started hurling touchdowns without the negative plays, while Rivers barely took a snap over 2 seasons. Then came Week 17, 2005, and the fumble. Although the Chargers weren't in playoff contention, Brees jumped on that football like his career depended on it.
Oh, that arm gets hyperextended in a very scary position. Philip Rivers is warming up on the San Diego sideline.
The Bolts front office, which would have been lit up for letting a player like Brees walk in free agency, now had their excuse: a torn labrum, damaged goods.
After waiting 2 seasons, Rivers was given the keys to the offense on opening night 2006.
To say that all eyes are on Phil Rivers tonight is to state the obvious. It is a national spotlight.
Amid all the hype, it was a familiar star that helped him ease into the driver's seat.
Handoff Tomlinson, right side, and he's down the sideline.
That's how you allow a young quarterback to have success. You run it right down their throat.
By the fourth quarter, Rivers had shaken any stage fright and was ready to shine.
Rivers back to throw, looking, end zone, firing, touchdown, Antonio Gates.
San Diego now in control. Raider fans, thank you for coming. Good night. See you in a couple months.
Rivers quickly settled into the role of starter.
Well, that's a splendid pass by Philip Rivers. On target and on time.
A lot of guys have talent when they come into the NFL, but the ones that go on to do great things, they're the ones that have the intangibles of the extras.
Nice job. Hey, good, Daddy. On the flare, the 52 fly to you.
Yeah.
That's why I stayed inside. I knew he was going to.
In Rivers, you have a true leader. You have somebody who the other players believe in. There's a trust that he can lead that team a long way.
Number 17 went from starter to star in Cincinnati, with the Chargers trailing 28-7 at halftime. Rivers guided the offense to 42 second-half points to lead San Diego to a comeback win in front of a stunned crowd.
San Diego got the lead. Incredible. That's awesome.
Drive here where they're going to start by throwing the football. Third down and 9 from the 43-yard line. Rivers, he's going to run, and he's going to pick up the first down. Big play to the 41 of Pittsburgh. That's temporary here. Rivers, he's going to throw, and that's going to be caught a little short of the first down. That's Antonio Gates at the 33-yard line. Meanwhile, Philip Rivers is the hip and trendy guy in San Diego tonight.
He had a coming out night tonight. He really did. I mean, he had taken that thing, should he be the starter, and they kept the wraps on him. And it looks like they did keep the wraps on him, but tonight they did. Cam Cameron, the offensive coordinator, had a plan. Philip Rivers was a big part of that plan, and throwing the football was a big part of it, and Philip Rivers did a great job with it.
Only one.
Philip Rivers, and the fake of the handoff. Rivers looking to throw. He points towards the end zone. He's lobbing it towards the end zone. Has an open man. Has a touchdown on the left side. He found Vincent Jackson, and San Diego's on the board. Chargers trailing 17-13. Number 17, Philip Rivers. Out of the shotgun. He's backing up. He's being rushed. And he launches. Looking end zone. Has a man. It is gone. And it's a touchdown. Vincent Jackson reels it in. Incredible. 29 seconds to go. The San Diego Chargers have won 9 in a row as they win it 20-17 in the rain in Seattle. 77 degrees in Mission Valley, and it's flat out gorgeous as we get set for Charger football. 3rd and 8 coming up. Michael Turner joining LT in the backfield now. What a day for LaDainian Tomlinson. Rivers looking to pass, and he'll float it towards the end zone. Tomlinson a juggle. He's got it. He's in the end zone again. LT astride of him. Rivers back, looking, firing, complete to the 31-yard line. Vincent Jackson, they threw the ball down. I don't think anybody touched him, Hank. The Raiders jump on it. And, Well, they're not going to give the ball to the Raiders here, are they?
Vincent Jackson.
Amazing. Nobody touched Vincent Jackson, and after the first down catch, he celebrated his catch by firing the ball into the ground. Alertly, the Raiders jumped on it, and it's their ball.
What the officials are saying is it was a second forward pass on the same play, so his action in itself is a dead ball situation the moment he does it. It's the Chargers' ball. It's two forward passes on the same play.
From the left hash on 2nd and 4. A little pitch back to LT. He's looking to throw towards the end zone. Gates got it! Touchdown! Rivers 5-step drop, looking towards the end zone. Back of the end zone. Touchdown! Antonio Gates wide open, and the Chargers score again. Rivers backpedaling, hoisting it over the middle. Gates with a leap and a bobble. He got it inside the 40, down to the 36-yard line of Tennessee. What a catch in traffic. 28 yards for Antonio Gates. And here comes the rush. Philip Rivers lobbing, end zone, leaping, touchdown San Diego. It is Vincent Jackson's first NFL touchdown.
We talked about the physical mismatch. Reynaldo Hill, 5'11", Vincent Jackson, 6'5". Outstanding protection allowing Philip Rivers to find Jackson in the end zone. He just out-jumped the little guy. Touchdown, Chargers.
Into the backfield. Mike Adams starts cheating toward the line. Now he comes back up, goes back. Now they're coming with a blitz. Quick pass. It is caught on the left sideline. And breaking free is Antonio Gates. And he may go. 30. He's down to the 20, the 15, the 10. He's into the end zone. Touchdown on the left sideline for tight end Antonio Gates. Hudson now in at cornerback. And Rivers going to throw for the end zone. And he's got his receiver for the touchdown. Jackson in motion to the right side. After a play fake, Rivers will throw. Going to look way down the left sideline. He's got a receiver out there. There's bumping. There's going to be interference on San Francisco.
While the young stars shone bright, it was LaDainian Tomlinson who took stardom to a new level. In 2006, LT led the team to the AFC West title, and along the way, he took aim at the NFL's single-season touchdown mark.
From the 7-yard line of the Denver Broncos. And the handoff to Tomlinson. Left side, and he will gallop into the end zone. Charger fans are witnesses to history. 29 touchdowns.
And you know the best part is, he's as good a person as he is a player, and that's saying something.
The great number 21, as humble as the day is long, celebrated with all of his teammates in the end zone.
The silver coin, we squeezed it. Now, the gold coin is next. The gold coin is next. And that's going to take us some work. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't put anything by this group. This group is as resilient as anybody I've ever been around. Congratulations.
Under Schottenheimer, the Chargers never found their gold coin. Painful home playoff losses to the Jets and Patriots following the 2004 and 2006 seasons marred division championships, and ownership decided it was time for a change. Prior to the 2007 season, San Diego turned to veteran head coach Norv Turner to get the Chargers over their playoff hump.
Guys, you've got Will. Same deal. You've got Will. You've got to come get him. Guards down. It's power pass. What you do? Z-post. Z-post. You got a 0. You either got to throw it or you got to throw the 5. You can't throw it late. It's double coverage. Come on, man. You're leaning on each other. Play some football. Let's go. Oh, yes, sir. There you go. There you go. Could hear that.
Turner quickly had the Chargers headed towards another playoff appearance.
Pitch back to LT, looking to throw. Has Gates open at the 1, into the end zone. Touchdown, San Diego! Tomlinson, right side, pushing, moving. Touchdown, San Diego! It is playoff football from Qualcomm Stadium. Overcast, but good to go. It's 11-5 San Diego taking on 10-6 Tennessee.
Trailing 6-0 to the Titans in the second half. It was a long pass that put the Chargers on the short track to victory.
Rivers looking, has a man, there's Jackson at the 5. Curls towards the end zone, diving, touchdown, San Diego!
Right by Philip Rivers, and the Chargers have taken control.
The defense held the Titans without a touchdown for the entire game, and LaDainian Tomlinson officially ended the playoff drought in San Diego.
Here we go.
Rivers hands it off, LT on the trampoline, at the goal line, stretching, reaching, touchdown! LT got it! Pack your bags for Indianapolis.
Their first playoff win since January 15th, 1995. And I like their chances against the Colts.
In the divisional round, the Chargers came to Indianapolis with few believing they could corral the Colts. An early injury to Tomlinson did little to boost confidence. Rivers took the mantle and guided the team into the lead heading into the fourth quarter.
Rivers to the left, it's up in the air towards the end zone, caught, Chambers hangs on, touchdown, San Diego! What a throw, what a catch, San Diego's on top!
However, Rivers would also succumb to injury late in the game.
A hobbled Philip Rivers heads towards the locker room.
With their two stars sidelined, it would be up to the understudies to seal the underdogs a spot in the AFC Championship.
24-21 Indianapolis. Billy Volek has to engineer the comeback. Volek fakes the handoff, goes underneath to Legadou Nane, gets a block from Marcus McNeil, goes to the 30, cuts upfield, breaks a tackle, 20, 15-yard line for Legadou Nane.
Nobody on this planet gives them any kind of a chance without Philip Rivers, without LT, with the hobbled Gates.
Volek diving. Is he over the goal line? Yes, he is! Touchdown, Billy Volek! And the San Diego Chargers are on top of Indianapolis.
Our San Diego Chargers are coming in, and they've taken it away from the world champions.
The Chargers entered the AFC Championship in New England, hoping their walking wounded could somehow overcome the undefeated Patriots.
It is being billed as David against Goliath, and David's slingshot is in the shop. Injuries have all but swallowed these Chargers whole.
With Tomlinson and Antonio Gates sidelined early and Rivers hobbled, San Diego still turned in a truly heroic performance.
And Philip in with the not one but two bad knees, which you figure a lacerated pancreas wouldn't have kept Rivers off his field this afternoon.
The team also leaned upon an inspired defense.
The Chargers have picked off Brady 3 times. What a play.
In the end, the Chargers would fall just short of ending New England's perfect season. San Diego entered 2008 hoping to build upon their success, but they would be tested from the start. In Denver, the outcome of the game would be decided by something other than the Broncos.
38-31 San Diego. And Cutler rolling out. His pass knocked down. He lost it. It's picked up. The Chargers have it. Wait a minute. Wait, Jay Cutler's coming back on the field. How is that? Like, just an incomplete pass?
I guess it's going to be called
at the 10? That can't be right.
Play should have been ruled a fumble. By rule, the ball was dead when it hits the ground because the whistle was blown. Therefore, it's Denver's ball at the 10-yard line, which is the spot that the ball hit the ground. Third down.
This game should be over.
Cutler pumps once, fires end zone. 39-38 Denver. The Broncos have stolen one.
It should have never come to this.
The loss sent San Diego into a 4-8 tailspin. Though the Chargers were down, they refused to fold and finally found their resolve.
I'm most proud of the way our entire group believed that, hey, we're not far away from being a real good football team, and it was a fight to get back to where we needed to be, but our guys did a great job of fighting that fight.
San Diego re-emerged as contenders in Week 14 against the Raiders.
Rivers with time going long. Has Jackson streaking under the ball. Has it at the 20. In stride. 10, 5, touchdown. 59 yards.
A week later, the Chargers showed heart by scoring a pair of last-minute touchdowns in Kansas City.
Touchdown! Vincent Jackson with 36 seconds to go. San Diego all the way back at Arrowhead.
San Diego made it 3 in a row by blasting the Buccaneers in Tampa.
15, 10, 5, touchdown! The lightning bug has done it again. Garcia back in the shotgun. He flips it. It's going to be picked off on a bobble. It's Payson racing down the left sideline. The rookie looking to go. Antoine Payson, first NFL touchdown.
The Chargers entered the final game of the season with a chance for revenge and a third straight AFC West title in a primetime showdown against the Denver Broncos.
It all comes down to this, because no team has ever started 4-8 and still made the playoffs. The Chargers have their shot.
Come on, 1-7. Come on, 1-7. Go get some.
San Diego sizzled from the start in a game that was never close.
Rivers, a screen is full. Jabs his way to the 10, to the 5. Keeps on going. Touchdown, San Diego!
Yay! Another one for you. 1-7, let's go.
Philip Rivers threw his 33rd and 34th touchdown passes of the season to eclipse Dan Fouts' team record for touchdown passes in a season.
How do you like this Charger offense?
LaDainian Tomlinson officially buried the Broncos and their title hopes.
The knockout punch, touchdown, San Diego! San Diego has bolted from the quicksand and stolen this division.
Jubilation filled Qualcomm Stadium as players and fans celebrated a third consecutive division title for only the second time in franchise history.
We'll see you next week. Tune in.
A week later, the Chargers entered the AFC wild card as underdogs, despite playing at home against the Colts. With Tomlinson nursing an injury, Darren Sproles stepped in and stepped up.
Hand off the lightning bug. Darren Sproles keeps on going, breaking tackles. Touchdown, San Diego!
Little big man from 9 yards out.
Sproles accounted for more than 200 yards of offense in an inspiring performance. Sproles' biggest run came just minutes into overtime.
15, 10, 5, Jack Run! He got it! He got it! He got it!
Is this a team of destiny or not? Who knows? Sure feels that way, Josh.
22 yards for the lightning bug. The Chargers have taken down Indianapolis.
The overtime victory over the Colts exemplified the spirit and determination that has defined the San Diego Chargers.
For San Diego to win, they're going to have to deal with the middle of the Seattle defense. If San Diego has the firepower to be able to handle that kind of pressure in the middle.
Which one would you vote be MVP, Philip Rivers or Peyton Manning?
He just hasn't been in the discussion because he hasn't been with what's considered a legitimate championship contender.
I want to say those Superchargers run into a Buffalo stampede as we watch the young Buffalo Bills go 3-0.
We know that the time is now. We know that we're not going to play forever. And so there's definitely a sense of urgency, as there always has been. But enjoy the heck out of it. I look forward to having a good year.
Looking, locks and loads, going end zone into double coverage. Caught! Touchdown! He's back. He's looking. Pumps it in. Touchdown, San Diego! Here's the pass rush. Rivers throwing end zone for Gates. Got it! Touchdown!
New England comes with pressure. Rivers reads it. Perfect pass. Floyd lays out. Touchdown, Chargers.
Rivers drops. Looking. Throwing. Got a man open near side. Move those chains.
That's something that we're not used to seeing. Rivers is outrunning people.
Rivers back 7 steps and launches. What a catch! What a pass! What a tandem! R&R. Rivers and Royal.
Philip Rivers, celebration mode.
Drop to the front, well protected, looks downfield. Fires a bomb for Malcolm Floyd, left side of the field, and he's got it.
Rivers looking, throws it, got an open man left side. Strike up the band! One more time! Right on the money, the Chargers are in business.
I always watch some Sunday morning countdown at the game before, and I listen to every last one of those announcers say, the Chargers ain't got a chance. Woo! Hey, we always got a chance. Always got a chance. Hey, together, oh yeah, Charge on 3, 1, 2, 3, Charge!
Bye-bye! Touchdown, San Diego!
The Bolts stay alive in the greatest comeback in Chargers history. Philip Rivers, magnificent, and he absolutely slices and dices this suspect Baltimore defense.
It is bye-bye Baltimore. Rivers looking, he's in trouble. He throws to the end zone, high for Gates. Touchdown, San Diego! Legion of whom? Rivers is killing him. Rivers locks and fires deep. Got Floyd streaking towards it. Rivers hitting a jackpot.
We're going to fight like crazy because that's what we do.
Chargers on the verge of another playoff berth.
They got great leadership from their quarterback, Philip Rivers.
2 weeks ago, the Eggheads said they had a 3% chance of getting in. There is now a 100% chance that the band plays on.
Bounce to the beat. Bounce to the beat.
As my coach told me when I was in Arizona, we played him like, it was my second year in the season. He doesn't throw passes, he throws handoffs because his accuracy is always just seems to end up in his receiver's hands. I mean, you give him enough time and he can pick you apart. You know, he talks a lot of smack on the field.
What? I haven't even said anything. I haven't even said a word all day.
We saw Rivers earlier in the season, and you know he's that gunslinger with that sidearm.
Oh my God!
He can make all the throws, but he's got an uncanny throwing motion. Like it's just you don't know how he does it, but he's just always very precise, and he's made his hay with it.
Phillip's gonna wind up and throw one deep down the field, and it's gonna be caught by Malcolm Floyd.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Phillip talks a lot of smack. He may talk the most trash in the NFL, and I'm not exaggerating.
We were starting to think you weren't coming out. Y'all quit arguing before I whip all of you. Okay, why are you fussing at me about it? Cover zero, and I know it, y'all know it. Time out.
He's a guy that definitely believes in his receivers and his weapons, and he'll definitely hold on to the football until you see somebody get open. It makes it hard for a defender facing a guy like that.
Rib shot. Those are the worst ones. There ain't nothing there. But ribs, baby backs.
Philip Rivers is known as one of the game's fiercest competitors.
Into coverage, and it's intercepted. It's tipped right to Jones. He brings it back, weaving at midfield. Inman can't tackle him.
In his 12th season, he was still breaking new ground.
Lost the football, and it's rolling around. Somebody grab it. Philip Rivers recovers at the 37-yard line. Rivers, the first fumble he's ever recovered. Rivers guns it low. Touchdown, and the route is on.
He's one of the best in the business at doing it, and you know, he's been doing it for almost 12 years now, I want to say, and he's just getting better, man. I just want to see the young man get out there and earn himself a ring and get him in this position one day to where you know, we're sitting at a Super Bowl and we got the chance to go win it.
Four-man pressure, Rivers looking deep. Benjamin in the end zone. Touchdown, Los Angeles.
That's what this dude can do is run. Play down to 50. You got to expect a shot, and you can't let this guy have a free run, free action, because that's what he does. makes a sensational.
Talk about a butterfly effect. The Chargers were content to play the kid out of NC State. Rivers couldn't be any more different than the mostly mild-mannered Breeze. Boisterous, talking smack to defensive players,
He's the startest corner in the league. Act like he's won a game before.
and a delivery more Vince Young than Dan Fouts. In 2006, head coach Marty Schottenheimer greased Rivers' path by doing what Marty Ball always did: run the rock, play conservative, without putting the game on the quarterback. San Diego went 14-2 and set some pretty cool records along the way.
And he will gallop into the end zone. Charger fans are witnesses to history. And congratulations to Philip Rivers. He is now the all-time leader in touchdown passes thrown in the history of this Charger franchise.
As for Rivers, well, he only became the best quarterback to ever play in San Diego, holding almost every career passing record in Chargers history. And here we are over a decade later, all because of a meaningless fumble in the second quarter of a meaningless game.